Good morning, everybody. So today we are just going to be, reading what we went over yesterday, which was the P&L. And we're going to be looking at another example that's similar to the one that is on your assignment. And we're just going to be talking about all the different calculations, how we got the ones that we did to help you better understand the material and the different formulas and how to get the answers for those questions. So I'm just going to stop sharing my camera so we can just focus on the assignment, and then we'll get started. If anybody has any questions, feel free to send a message through the chat, or you can raise your hand if anybody decides to join while we're discussing the assignment. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be talking about again is going to be the P&L calculations and formulas. So yesterday we looked at the different percentages and how to change those percentages into dollar amounts. And we're going to do the exact same thing today before we even get started, because we need to change all those percentages and get our dollar amount. So yesterday we talked, and they're all divided up depending on what you're looking for. So the very first thing are the sales or the revenue that the restaurant is making. So whatever food sales you have, whatever beverage sales you have, that's what you're going to be. So here I'm going to add in beverage sales because it's not included. It's kind of like a hidden category that we really need to be able to calculate other items. And that's about it. I'm going to add in total sales because total sales is not on here, which is our revenue, right? But we're going to be able to calculate that by taking our covers. And remember, covers is just another term for the amount of people that come in. So we have 500 guests that come into the restaurant, and each check that they're going to have is $15. So that's how we're going to figure out our total sales. So $500 people times $15 per person is going to give us our total sales. So let's figure out what that is. Make sure you always have a calculator with you. And so your total sales are going to be $7,500. Okay. And so now that we have our total sales, now we start calculating everything else. So in order to figure out our food sales dollar amount, I'm going to put a little definition or a clue. You're going to take your food sales. So I'm just abbreviating FS as food sales percentage, and you're going to multiply that by your total sales. So that's going to give us 7,500 times 0.75 because it's 75%. Plus, $5,625. Okay, so now that we have food sales, we need to figure out our beverage sales. I'll change that in just a second. Okay. I'm going to again give you another little formula so it's easier for you to remember. And it's going to be beverage sales. And we're just trying to find the dollar amount. So if you were trying to find the percentage, then you're going to be dividing, right? Because that's how we're going to get our percentage. But here we're going to be looking for the dollar amount, so we need to multiply our percentage by our total sales. So I'm going to put percentage. And sometimes the question will ask you that. What is the food sales percentage? And you only have dollar amounts right here. So if that is the case where you only have the dollar amounts, then you're going to have to find the percentages. But in this case, we are trying to find the dollar amounts. So we're going to multiply that by total sales. And that'll be 7,500 because that's our total sales times, oh, sorry. Well, if we had the percentage, we'd be able to do that, but we don't. So here, what we're going to do is, because we're not given beverage sales per, be taking our total sales and subtracting our food sales. Because if you think about it, all of our sales that are coming in are just food and beverage, unless we're doing catering, which would be another category. But right here, it doesn't include catering, so we're only going to focus on food and beverage. So your total sales are going to be, part of it is food sales and the other part is beverage sales. So if you subtract food sales from the total sales, you're going to get your beverage sales. So that's a really easy calculation, right? So we're going to take 7,500 minus what our food sales are. We just figured them out. 5,625, and that's going to give us what our beverage sales are. That'll be 1,875. So as you can see here, every calculation that we are getting is going to help us with the next formula that we need to do. So it's very important that we change all these percentages to the dollar amounts so that you'll be able to answer the questions that are on your assignment. Without figuring out all these different calculations, you're not going to be able to answer the next question. So very important. So now that we have our food sales, our beverage sales, now we need to figure out the cost. So in order to figure out food cost, we have to take our food cost percentage. So I'm going to put FC percentage and multiply that now, not by total sales, but by food sales, because we want to see how much of our food sales accounts for the cost of food that we actually spent getting all the ingredients for those specific menu items. So now we're going to take our food cost, which right here, it's 32%, and we're going to multiply that by the total sales. And that'll give you your food cost. So I'm going to take 0.32, which is the percentage, and multiply it by the total, not total sales, food sales. Food sales. And the food sales were $5,625. And that is going to give us our food cost. So $5,625 times 0.32, which is our 32%. Our food cost is $1,800. Okay, so out of the sales that we made, right here, 5,000, it costs us $1,800 to make the food items that are on our menu, which were sold and gave us a revenue of $5,625. And so now we're going to do our beverage cost. So beverage cost is going to be pretty much everything you need to make that cocktail, right? Or to serve that non-alcoholic beverage. So for our cocktails, it can be everything from juices to garnishes to the liquor, the wine, the beer. Food cost is going to be everything, right? All the ingredients that you need to make that menu item. So for the beverage cost, we're going to do the same thing. Take the beverage cost percentage. So B is abbreviated for beverage cost, and then I'm just putting the percentage here because we're translating a percentage to a dollar amount. If I was looking for the percentage, well, then I would have put food costs and I would put a dollar sign, right? And then I would put a slant or the little division symbol to show that we're going to be dividing. But here we're multiplying because we're trying to get our dollar amount. So beverage cost percentage multiplied by the beverage sales. So we already figured out our beverage sales are right here. They were $1,875. And so that is going to give us, and I multiply that by, sorry. Multiply this by our beverage cost, 20%. And our beverage cost is $375. Okay, so now we're going to start figuring out our payroll cost. Our benefits. Our remaining operating expenses and our fixed expenses. So again, now everything else is going to get multiplied by our total sales. So we're back to total sales. So our payroll cost is going to be the payroll cost percentage multiplied by total sales. So our payroll cost percentage is 35%. So I'm going to do 0.35 because that would be our percentage multiplied by 7,500. And that's going to give you $2,625. So that's what we're spending on wages for our staff, whether it's front of the house, back of the house, salaried positions, admin. That's what we're paying for payroll. Benefits is a little bit different. We're not going to be taking it by total sales. We're going to take our benefits percentage, and now we're going to be multiplying that by our payroll because it says of wages. It's kind of tricky. It's not saying of total sales, it's saying of wages, and we multiply it by our payroll cost. So we're going to take our benefits percentage and multiply it by payroll. So that's going to be our percentage is 30%. So 30% times our payroll cost, which we just figured out, which is $2,625. And that gives us $12.50. So that's benefits. That could be the employee meals. Sometimes you get free meals during your shift or a percentage off of your meals. That could be in benefits like insurance. Those are all applicable under benefits. So I'm just going to turn these red. And so when you're figuring all these out, again, you need to figure all of them out before you even answer your questions. So that's the remaining. So we're going to look at our remaining operating expense percentage. So I'm just going to abbreviate this R and percentage, and we're going to multiply that by our total sales. So that would be 15% times our total sales, which is $7,500. So our remaining operating expenses are going to be $1,000. $125. Okay, and when we're looking at fixed expenses, we're going to do the same thing. Look at our fixed expense percentage. So again, I'm going to abbreviate FE. And we're going to multiply this by our total sales. So that's 0.05, which would be 5%, multiplied by our total sales, which is $7,500. And that's going to give us what our fixed expense dollar amount is. So $325. Okay, perfect. So now we have all of the dollar amounts for our different categories, right? So in order to even answer any question for your quiz, again, you need to have all these calculated, because then we start calculating everything else. So some of the questions you're going to get asked is, what is prime cost? What's the total cost of goods? What's your gross profit and what's your profit, right? Besides all these questions that are probably on there as well, like what's your beverage sales? What are your beverage sales based on the percentage? What is your food cost? What is your beverage cost? So all these questions are probably going to be on your quiz in addition to figuring out your prime cost, total cost, and gross profit. So prime cost, so when we're calculating that, we're taking food sales, food costs, beverage costs, payroll costs, and benefits, and your benefits, right? So we already have all those calculations, and now we just need to add them together. So prime cost is going to equal, so let's look, $300 plus our beverage cost, which is $375, plus our payroll cost, which is $2,006, plus our benefits, which is $787.50. And that's going to equal out to $5,587.50. Okay, so when you're trying to figure out prime cost, sometimes it's going to ask you for what is your total cost of goods sold. So total cost of goods sold are going to be what you sold, right? Like what the food items were that you sold. And those are goods, right? It's not payroll, it's not benefits, it's not these expenses. It's going to be your food costs and your beverage costs together. Sometimes those are called COGS. And that just means cost of goods sold. Okay, if it's asking for that, it's asking for your food cost plus your beverage cost. Okay. Okay, and so now that we have our prime cost, highlight that so you know what that one is. Okay, now we're going to do total cost. So our total cost is everything it costs us, right, to operate and to sell our food. So our food costs, our beverage costs, our payroll, our benefits, our operating expenses, and our fixed expenses. So all these costs, everything that we spent in order to operate, to get added together. So we already have our payroll and benefits, right? So we can already utilize this and start adding in. So total cost equals, let's see, 1,800 for our food cost, 375 for our beverage cost, 2,625 for our payroll, 787.50 for benefits. And now we need to add in our remaining operating expenses, which are $1,125, and our fixed expenses, $325. Okay, and that is going to give us our total cost. So everything that we spent on all of our expenses, right? So that is going to be total of $7,125. $37.50. So I'm going to highlight this, turn it red. So that is our total cost. Okay. So now we talk about gross profit and profit. So gross profit is the profit before taxes. So it's going to be our food cost plus our beverage cost minus our total sales, right? Because we need to look at our costs and then we need to look at our sales. So we're going to deduct our costs from our sales, and whatever's left over, that's going to be what we would have made in profit before any taxes or any other expenses or deductions from it. So we look at that so that we can see how we are doing as far as our cost is compared to the sales, right? So if it looks like our cost is really high, we're not making too much profit, then we want to manage that. We want to make sure that we're going through all of our invoice items priced or not the price that we originally had calculated with our vendors, and to figure out either changing the price of the menu item or looking for an alternative to those menu items for the restaurant so that would be more profitable. So for the gross profit, we're going to be taking food costs plus our beverage costs, so that's $1,800 plus $375. And then we're going to be deducting our total sales. 375 is $2,175, and we're going to be subtracting our total $7,500. So at what our profit would be after we sold all of the food and beverage items and deducted our expenses, profit would have been $5,325. But that's not the case, right? That's not what we're left with after everything. It's just like when you look at your paycheck, you see your net amount and your gross profit, and that's before, right? Before all those taxes come out, and then you get what you actually get in your check. So very similar to what's going to happen here on our P&L. So this right here would be gross profit. So we look at this to see how we're doing. This is kind of like a report card, right? How we're doing with sales and how we're doing with our food costs. And if cost is really high, we don't have a lot of gross profit, then we need to evaluate that and figure out how we can be more successful as a restaurant. Okay, so for profit, this is going to be everything after all of our expenses, right? So we look at our total sales, which is $7,500, and now we're going to be subtracting our total cost. So we already figured out our total cost over here, $7,037.50. So I can already see we're not going to have too much of a profit, but that's normal in the restaurant. A long game. So you don't see a lot of profit right away. Every day you're collecting little profits at a time, and as your restaurant grows and you become more successful at managing your costs and all your other expenses, then you're going to see an increase in profit, and that's when you're going to start making money. But at the beginning, it doesn't look like much. So our profit after all the expenses are taken away is going to be $462.50. So it's not very much for all the work that was put in, right? All the expenses that were paid, payroll, benefits, remaining operating expenses, paying your rent, all those different fees and different services like marketing and accounting and the music that you're going to play in the restaurant and all the equipment that you're buying for So after all those expenses, you're only making $462. So not very much, but that's how the restaurant works. That's how you're going to be making a profit. And as you continue on and learn how to manage your expenses, you can look at the forecast, then you can start making a plan on how you can increase those profits. A little bit of what your next assignment is going to be. So if anybody has any questions, message me. If you're still having a hard time understanding how to calculate all these different formulas and get these calculations, definitely let me know. I can set up a office hour time to work with you independently. But overall, this is definitely what you need to know. You need to know prime costs, you need to know total costs, you need to know gross profit and profit, and of course, you need to know how to change all these percentages to a dollar amount. Again, if you have any questions about profit and loss out, but this will help you calculate everything that you need for your quiz.